Before we begin, let me ask you something. What would you do if the woman you loved, the woman you trusted, the mother of your child, looked you in the eye one morning and said, "The baby isn't yours," and before you can even understand what that means, a stranger walks up to you days later, puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Man, she lied to you, and I can prove it." Yeah, this story isn't easy. It isn't clean, but it's real. And tonight, you're going to hear every detail. Because the truth, it has a way of coming out, whether you're ready or not. So sit back, put your phone down for a second, and follow me into the moment my entire life cracked open. My name is Ethan Cooper, 34 years old, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. And until last year, I thought I had a pretty normal life. A steady job in HVAC, a simple home, a dog named Murphy, and a wife I adored. Her name was Rachel, petite, brown hair, warm smile, the kind of person who made strangers feel like friends. We'd been married for 4 years, not perfect, but steady. We'd been trying for a baby for 2.5 years. Doctor visits, tests, schedules, hopes rising and crashing every month, so when she finally told me she was pregnant, I cried. I actually cried, right there on the kitchen floor. It felt like life was finally giving us a break. For 9 months, everything seemed amazing. Baby names, ultrasounds, her cravings, the late-night jokes. It felt like the family I always dreamed of. But here's the thing. Happiness has a way of covering up the cracks. You don't see them, not until they become impossible to ignore. Our son, or the baby I thought was my son, was born last summer, tiny fingers, loud cry, healthy, perfect. But Rachel was different. She didn't smile, didn't cry, didn't even look at me in the way new moms usually look at their husbands. Something was wrong, but every time I asked, she shut me down. "I'm tired. It's hormones. Stop overthinking." So I let it go. Because that's what husbands do, right? We trust. But 2 weeks later, on a Tuesday morning, while I was making coffee, she walked into the kitchen, pale, shaking, holding her phone like it was a grenade about to explode. She sat down, looked me dead in the eyes, and whispered, "Ethan, the baby isn't yours." Just like that. No hesitation. No explanation. No apology. My heart stopped. My brain froze. It felt like the walls were closing in, like someone had cut a hole in my chest. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I just sat there staring at her, waiting for something, anything, to make this make sense. But she stood up, walked out the door, and said, "It's better this way." Better for who? Better how? She didn't say. She left me alone with a newborn baby and a truth I never asked for. For the next 3 days, I didn't sleep, didn't work, didn't shower, just took care of the baby and stared at the door, hoping she'd walk back through it and say she made a mistake, but she didn't come home. And worst of all, she didn't answer a single call. My mom came to help. She kept saying, "Maybe she's just overwhelmed. Women go through things after birth." But I knew Rachel. This wasn't panic. This wasn't hormones. This was something darker, something she had been hiding long before the baby was born. By day 4, I wasn't angry. I was numb. And that's when it happened. I was standing outside a Walgreens, waiting for my mom to bring out formula. The baby was sleeping in the car seat, and I was leaning against the car, exhausted, empty. Then a man walked up to me, tall, maybe mid-40s gray beard, baseball cap pulled low. I'd never seen him in my life, but he knew my name. "You're Ethan, right?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah. Who are you?" He looked around like he didn't want anyone hearing. Then he said, "I'm the guy your wife has been seeing." I swear my blood turned to ice. He continued, "And she's lying to you about the baby. I've got proof." Before I could say anything, he handed me a folded piece of paper. Then he walked away. Didn't explain, didn't wait, didn't even look back, just disappeared. I opened the paper with shaking hands, and what I saw, it sent my world into a tailspin. At first, it didn't even make sense. It wasn't a letter. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't some handwritten confession. It was a printout, a screenshot of messages between Rachel and this stranger. Dozens of them. Scrolling down the page like a timeline of betrayal. And the worst part? They went all the way back to before she got pregnant. The messages were intimate, secretive. And in a few of them, I saw something that nearly made me drop right there in the Walgreens parking lot. Rachel wrote, "If this works, he'll believe the baby is his." My chest tightened. The air left my lungs. This wasn't just cheating. This was premeditated deception. There were other lines. "He'll never question it. He wants a child so badly. Once it's done, I'll figure out the rest." Like I was some stepping stone, some pawn in whatever plan they were cooking up. I reread the document over and over, hoping, praying that I misunderstood something. But there it was. Black and white. Cold, cruel. And then, the last message in the printout nearly made me collapse. "You promised you'd leave him. The baby is ours. Stop dragging this out." The baby, ours, not mine. The stranger wasn't lying. He wasn't guessing. He believed fully that the child I'd been feeding, burping, rocking was his, and that Rachel had been playing both of us. My hands shook so hard the paper crinkled. When my mom walked out of Walgreens with the formula, she immediately saw the look on my face. "Ethan, what happened?" I couldn't speak. I just handed her the paper, and as she read it, her face drained of color. "Oh my God," she whispered. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt hollow, like every piece of meaning had been scooped out of my chest. That night, I called Rachel. 10 times. 20. 30. No answer. I texted, "We need to talk. I know everything." Delivered. Not read. Around midnight, I drove to her sister's place. They hadn't seen her. I drove to her friend Laura's. Nothing. I even went to her workplace. Lights off, building locked. She had vanished. Not just emotionally, physically. My mom stayed with the baby, and I sat in my truck for hours, calling every hospital, every hotel, every friend. No sign of her. And then, around 3:15 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop looking for her. It's safer this way." Safer? Safer for who? I tried calling the number. No answer. And then, another message came. "You don't want the truth." But I did. I needed it. The next morning, my mom convinced me to file a missing person report. The officer was polite, but clearly thinking this was just a marital fight. Most spouses return within 48 hours. But I wasn't convinced. I showed him the printout the stranger gave me. His entire demeanor changed. He asked, "Did you know this man? The one messaging your wife?" "No." "Do you know where he lives?" "No." "Did your wife mention him?" "No." The officer leaned back. "Sir, it looks like your wife may be involved in something more complex than infidelity." My heart hammered. "Meaning what?" He sighed. "Human manipulation, coercion, financial exploitation. We've seen cases where one partner forces another into something while using a third person as leverage. There could be more here than meets the eye. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted clarity, not another mystery. The officer continued. If she contacts you, tell us immediately. I nodded, but inside, I was boiling. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to sit still. I wanted answers. 3 days later, he found me again. This time, he didn't wait until I was alone. He walked straight up to my front porch. Murphy barked like crazy. I stepped outside, fists clenched, ready to swing, but he held up both hands. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to explain. I didn't trust him. I didn't like him. But I needed the truth. Why did she say the baby wasn't mine? I asked. He exhaled and looked down at his shoes. Because that's what she told me too. She said you couldn't have kids. She said I was the father. That hit me like a punch. I can't have kids? Who told her that? He shook his head. She showed me medical papers, said you were infertile. My jaw dropped. I was tested 2 years ago. My results were fine, completely normal. So she lied to him, to manipulate him, and she lied to me, to manipulate me. Who was Rachel? He continued. Her name isn't even Rachel. At least not to me. She told me her name was Amanda. I felt the world tilt. Amanda? How long have you known her? I asked. About 3 years. 3 years. Before she and I even started trying for a baby. Before we even made our marriage official. My stomach twisted. He said they met at a bar while she was traveling out of town. She told him she was single. He even met her parents. Except those parents were hired actors she paid through some online gig service. She played him like a violin. Then he dropped the biggest bomb yet. She asked me for money. Thousands. Said she needed it for IVF treatments because you didn't know she was trying to get pregnant. IVF? We never even discussed IVF. And we certainly never paid for it. I whispered, how much? He swallowed hard. Almost 30,000. My head spun. He was being used. I was being used. The baby's paternity was a pawn in a much, much bigger game. Finally, I asked the question that had been eating me alive. Is the baby yours? He looked me dead in the eyes. No, I don't think so. Shock, confusion, disbelief, all at once. Then why would she... He cut me off. Because she needed money. And she needed a story that made both of us feel trapped. She told me the baby was mine, to keep me paying. She told you the baby wasn't yours, to keep you emotionally off balance. I stepped back, stunned. Then he added, and there's something else, something worse. My stomach nodded. What? He hesitated. She stole someone's identity. She's running from something, and the baby might not belong to either of us. I felt the world collapse under my feet. Before I could ask another question, he handed me a second envelope. Open this. You won't like what you see, but you need to know. He turned and left my porch. I opened the envelope inside the house. Inside were 3 things. A DNA test, not with my name or his. A photo of Rachel with a third man I'd never seen before. A passport with a different name. And her picture. She wasn't Rachel. She wasn't the faithful wife I thought I knew. She wasn't even the cheating woman this stranger thought he knew. She was someone else entirely. And the baby? The DNA report listed the biological father as unknown male, international match pending. My knees buckled. My mom caught me before I hit the floor. I sat on the living room floor, the DNA report trembling in my hands. My mind couldn't process it. The baby wasn't mine. The baby wasn't the stranger's. And the father listed was an international match pending. That meant one thing: whoever the real father was someone dangerous enough that his identity couldn't be confirmed by a normal database. I stared at the photo. Rachel with some man I didn't recognize. Tall, heavy-set, scars on his knuckles, a tattoo of a coiled serpent around his neck. My mom looked over my shoulder and froze. "Ethan, I think we need to call the police again." And for the first time, I agreed. An hour later, Detective Ramirez arrived at my house, middle-aged, calm voice. No nonsense. He listened to everything: the messages, the stranger, the DNA test, the passport with a fake name. Then he asked the strangest question. "Do you know if your wife ever traveled internationally? Even once?" "Yes. Last year. A girl's trip to Mexico." He wrote that down instantly. Then he asked, "Did she ever come back with unexplained money or new things, jewelry, a new phone?" "Yes. Actually, a necklace and a brand new phone. She said it was a gift." He closed his notebook. "Sir, I'm going to be very direct with you. The man in that photo, his name is Alejandro Cruz. He's affiliated with one of the most dangerous trafficking networks in Central America." My blood ran cold. "Trafficking? Rachel? No. She wouldn't." He held up a hand. "We're not implying she was a victim. Quite the opposite. We believe she was involved." I shook my head in disbelief. Ramirez continued. "Women with multiple identities, multiple partners, and multiple fathers of their children are often used in what's called identity laundering. Babies are born under different names, moved across borders, used to create citizenship anchors or to funnel money." I felt like the earth was spinning too fast. My wife wasn't just lying. She wasn't just cheating. She was part of a massive, dangerous scheme. "So, the baby," I whispered. Ramirez nodded slowly. "The baby may have been intended for transport. And when she panicked, she needed to ditch both you and her accomplice." My heart cracked. I looked toward the nursery, at the tiny, innocent baby who had no idea what world he'd been born into. 2 nights later, while I was sitting on the couch in the dark, there was a hard knock on the door. I opened it. And there he was again, the stranger. But this time he looked terrified, eyes red, shaking hands. He stepped inside without asking and closed the door behind him. "They're looking for her," he said. "And if they can't find her, they'll come after anyone connected to her." My stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" He swallowed hard. "They think you have the baby." I felt a wave of nausea hit me. "Who?" He whispered. "Alejandro's people." I backed up. He continued. "They went to my apartment. They tore the place apart. They asked where she was, where the baby was. They think she left the country without their permission." My hands were sweating. "You need to give the baby to the police," he said. "No." I stepped back protectively. "It's the only way," he insisted. "If they think you're hiding the child, they'll—" He didn't finish. He didn't need to. We both knew what he meant. The next morning at 5:14 a.m., police cars and unmarked SUVs swarmed my street. Dozens of officers, detectives, federal agents. Someone knocked on my door loudly. "Ethan Cooper, open up!" Half asleep, terrified, I opened the door. Detective Ramirez stepped inside. "We found her." I nearly collapsed. "Where? Is she alive?" He nodded. "She crossed the border last night. She was detained. She's being transported to Louisville right now." A mix of relief and dread hit me. But then he added, "And she asked to speak to only one person." My mouth went dry. "Who?" Ramirez looked at me. "You." They took me to a federal holding facility. White walls, metal doors, cold air, and there she was, sitting behind a glass panel. Hair messy, eyes hollow, but still the woman I once loved. I picked up the phone. She picked up hers. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Then she whispered, "Ethan, I'm sorry." I didn't say anything. She continued, "You weren't supposed to get involved. You were never supposed to find out." My voice finally worked. Find out what? That you lied to me? Used me? Used him? Used the baby? She shook her head violently. No, you don't understand. I was trying to get out. That stopped me cold. Out of what? Her voice trembled. Alejandro. His people. I thought if I stayed with you, if I built a normal life, they'd forget about me. I clenched my teeth. And the baby? She looked down. He's not part of it. Not anymore. I made sure of that. Tears streamed down her face. That child is innocent. Ethan, please, protect him. Don't give him to them. Don't let them take him. She pressed her hand against the glass. You're the only good thing I ever had, even if I didn't deserve you. For a moment, for one stupid moment, I felt pity. But then I remembered everything, the deception, the danger, the child caught in the middle, and I slowly lowered the phone. She screamed my name as officers pulled her away. 2 days later, Detective Ramirez showed up at my house. He sat me down. His tone was gentler this time. We ran the baby's DNA through international databases. My heart pounded. He continued. The biological father is a man who died 2 years ago in Honduras. He was a victim of the same organization your wife cooperated with. She wasn't carrying out their plan. She was running away from them. I blinked in shock. So the baby, was she trying to protect him? Ramirez nodded. Yes, and whether you believe her or not, her last request was to keep the child safe. I whispered, what happens to him now? He looked me in the eyes. If you're willing, you can apply for emergency guardianship. Given the circumstances, the court will grant it. My chest tightened. The room felt heavy. But when I looked toward the nursery and I heard that little baby cooing, I knew my answer. The final decision. 1 month later, I stood before a judge sleep-deprived, still healing, still scared, but ready. The judge reviewed everything, the documents, the investigation, the danger, the DNA. Then he looked at me. Mr. Cooper, are you prepared to assume full guardianship of this child, knowing the risks and responsibilities? I took a breath, a deep one, and said, yes, he needs someone, and I won't abandon him. The judge nodded. Emergency guardianship granted. Just like that. The child who wasn't mine became mine in every way that mattered. Closing the real ending. It's been 8 months now. I'm not the same man I was. I'm stronger, more cautious, more aware of the shadows in the world. But every morning when I walk into that nursery and see him smile, I feel something I never felt with Rachel. Peace. And here's the part I never expected. I named him Noah because Noah survived a storm. And so did I. As for Rachel, she's serving time. Long time. But sometimes when I think about everything, I realize something important. Not every family is built the usual way. Some come from pain, some from chaos, some from lies, and some are built through one impossible choice, to stay, to fight, to love anyway. Noah may not be my blood, but he is my son, and that's the truth that matters.